right, let's chat about our final two games. We chose the dominating winners. We saved them for last. Let's start talking about San Diego Wave FC's win over North Carolina Courage. 3-1, solid win for San Diego Wave. The Caroline penalty kick, question mark. We'll talk about it. A lot of other, we'll even talk about some of the historical things within this match too. They're the Alex Morgan and Jaden Shaw, the goals, pair of goals in this one. They are the first duo to score in their first two matches of an NWSL season. So maybe this one almost sort of giving the impression as if it was getting away at one point, perhaps from the Courage, one of those teams that walked away with kind of a gutsy trio of points in that week one win against Kansas City. But another team with young players, a young core, let's just say a young core, maybe not full of rookies, but players that they're trying to work into a system and build around and with moving forward. So I was very curious how they were going to look on the road in a place like Snapdragon that has shown already that they're going to have some pretty good crowd atmosphere at these games. I will say it didn't look like a team on the road that was intimidated by that. I thought there were some pretty good individual performances there. I really enjoyed watching Kiki Pickett on the pitch for the Courage. I thought she had really, really good moments. But San Diego, with the killers in front of goal, just able to put these and execute the goals towards the end. 3-1.
Yeah, I think that's important to look at kind of how the execution came of this. We got to see penalty kicks happening for a couple of different sides here for these teams because Alex Morgan, she goes 2 for 2 on the year, 2 for 2 in 2023. What does that make her now? Like 8 for 8 with San Diego from the penalty spot. Like this is what's going to happen again this year. You know that Alex Morgan can score these penalty kicks. She's been on a roll. If you take down a San Diego player in the box, like this is what's going to happen. It also happened pretty much back to back. San Diego gets awarded the penalty kick in the 73rd minute, and then North Carolina gets one just about 5 minutes later in the 77th minute. Caroline steps up to the spot. She goes, and if you were listening to this one on Paramount Plus, we had JP Della Camera, Saskia Weber.
I loved it.
Saskia Weber, former goalkeeper, for those that don't know, she's a new analyst in the league this year, and she is just crushing it. Go back and watch this call. Watch our highlights on Attacking Third because Weber goes nuts.
My girl was upset.
They're just texting me like, is this Saskia? Like, who's on this call? And I was like, oh yeah, it's Saskia Weber. Can you hear her going nuts? It's amazing. Turns out that it was a penalty kick, right? Caroline goes up to the penalty spot to take the kick against Kaylin Sheridan. And there is a very slow stutter step stop from Caroline that throws off Kaylin Sheridan, sends Saskia Weber into a tizzy, and Caroline scores. Now, this wasn't a game-changing goal coming in the 77th minute. North Carolina at this point is down 3-0. This one makes them down 3-1. So they're climbing back into it. I think if the game was a bit more on the line, we would have seen more of an outburst from San Diego, Casey Stoney, Kaylin Sheridan even at that point. But Kaylin Sheridan doesn't even dive for this penalty kick. And she is just thrown off by the stutter, thrown off by what many think is a stop by Caroline before she hits this penalty kick. And so Kaylin Sheridan doesn't fall, but she doesn't necessarily stop. It is a legal penalty kick, and that's how North Carolina gets their lone goal. It was crazy.
I loved it. I was like, more of this, please. I love an elaborate stutter step. And you know who hates it? Goalkeepers. So I also equally loved the reaction from Weber on the call. I was like, this is so good. Like just the what we were watching and then what we were hearing. I absolutely loved it. I'm a fan of it. More flair in the league.
Yeah.
I love fun. I'm a fan of that kind of stuff.
It is. I like the fun, crazy penalty kicks. I mean, we're going to see more of them this year than we have in years past with VAR coming in, with just the way way kind of the game and the league is developing. How many did we have this weekend? 4, I think. I don't even know. But because of that, I like it. I like the flair. I like seeing how different players take it. This one was a little bit of a stretch for me. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a goalkeeper by any means, but I see how it's a really exaggerated stutter, stop, step. Now, it is legal completely, but it's rough. It's definitely rough. I mean, clearly, if you ask Saskia Weber about it, she'll go nuts,
Yeah.
which is good. That's exactly.
I think everybody on the pitch were like, "All right, clap, clap, clap!" Like you put us in like Caroline went and put everybody in the matrix on that one. Like maybe Caroline was moving too fast, and we all were
We
too
just
slow
couldn't
to keep
see.
up.
She was a blur, and we thought it was a stutter, but really, she was just so quick. It was a blur.
No, I love it. Listen, don't give Caroline more opportunities to convert in a PK in the box because we might see some more cool stuff along the way. But that's 2 for 2 for San Diego. They've got 6 points through 2 weeks. I think we're getting to a point where we're about to hit a little bit of a break for the international window. Maybe you're going to start looking at players who leave and make their exits. There's not going to be games right away this weekend, but I think when you're looking at all of your players available in these opening weeks, if you're San Diego, you're one of those teams that's going to have a handful of players that will eventually depart for international responsibility, whether it's certain windows or for the World Cup specifically. You want to pick up those points while you've still got the majority of your starting caliber type of players. And San Diego has done just that within their opening 2 weeks. You know who else has done just that? Portland Thorns FC. And we're closing out the episode with this mic drop, a hat trick from Sophia Smith, 4-1 against the Kansas City Current in the 2022 championship final rematch. Man, we've got too many things to talk about in this one, whether it's Portland's dominance or the question marks around Kansas City Current. Lisa, I'm going to let you take the angle, which one you want to talk about more first.
I mean, we have to start with a little bit of Sophia Smith because the sauce that this player is bringing every single week is just jaw-dropping, incredible. No one is shocked about it. No one is surprised. Everyone is entertained and having fun for this player. 3 goals in this match, a hat trick for Sophia Smith, 25 regular season goals for Smith. She becomes the youngest player, the quickest player to do it. I'm, of course, fumbling over that fun and cool stat that we have from Sophia Smith, but it is just incredible to watch it come. One of them also off a penalty kick, 2 of them coming in the run of play. This is just incredible from Sophia Smith. She looks like she is electrified. This is going to be the year of Sophia Smith. She's unstoppable at this point. When you look at what Portland has done between their opening week and this week, 4 goals, Sandra. 4 goals, a variety of different goal scorers. Smith with 4 of the 8 that have happened in the opening 2 weeks. There are just so many positives from this Portland side that they have not missed a single beat from last year. Crystal Dunn also on top of the world. She starts the scoring for Portland in this match in the opening 3 minutes, and a beautiful assist from Sam Coffey, and Dunn finds the back of the net. This is the Crystal Dunn that we got to see a glimpse of at the end of last year, but she had the full off season. She's had national team call-ups again to get back into the swing of things. She's feeling herself. She's feeling confident. There are so many good, fun, positive parts of this Portland side to watch. It's so entertaining. It is so entertaining. What a way to kick off our weekend, right? This was our opening weekend CBS game that we got to see between Portland and Kansas City.
I mean, it's just like she picks up right where she left off, right? If you're Sophia Smith, I mean, we're talking about the NWSL Championship rematch, right? These 2 teams were the last 2 teams to sort of feature in kind of that big CBS network game, and they're back on it again. And Sophia Smith, it's fastest and youngest to 25 goals in the NWSL. Ridiculous talent from Sophia Smith. Her skill on the ball, just making it look easy along the way. I mean, but maybe that's sort of the transition here. We got to talk about Kansas City Current a little bit. This is week 2 where they have not looked up to speed or up to par with maybe what we might have put on them in terms of expectation. I think people are leaving room for things like, well, They're a little bit unhealthy right now. They've got a number of starters who can't get out there, but these are also players. Most of them are newly acquired players.
Mm-hmm.
The team did eventually get to see the debut of Dabinia, someone who's also not really at 100%. But in terms of the shape that we're looking at from the current, I don't know if this is one that's really working for them right now out of the gate in
Yeah.
week 1 and week 2. The defensive shape kind of looked a
That's
little lost at times. 80 French having to do a lot of work.
yeah.
And I'm
They're
not.
missing big pieces. You have to remember that with Kansas City, right? No Desiree Scott. She's not available for this team right now. They don't have Kristen Edmonds anymore. Edmonds has gone to Gotham and solidified herself there in that back line. Yes, they've got Mace, they've got Weinbrenner, they've got Merrick, who we saw at the end of last year for Kansas City, but Gabrielle Robinson stepping into that center back position, that's tricky. I mean, Alex Luera could play in the back line, but I think she's much more useful for Kansas City and Matt Potter when she's higher up the pitch. She's much more effective there. But there's a caveat. She's only effective when Kansas City has the ball and when she's on top of the ball, because her defensive skills, they get to be broken down a little bit. She gets pulled out of position occasionally being centrally. I mean, yeah, they don't have as much star power and depth as Matt Potter wants to have, but it's only week 2 of the season. That's kind of the silver lining I'm seeing for Kansas City current. We did get to see Dabinia, as you mentioned, make her appearance, 70th minute, Children's Mercy Park, going absolutely bonkers when this Brazilian international stepped onto the pitch. That's what'll come, right? We're going to get these moments where these players are coming back into the mix. I mean, even Desiree Scott, when she gets back, she's dealing with a bit of a knock at this point, missing the first few weeks. That's hurting this team. They need a leader and someone in the midfield defensively to hold things together, because they're just playing a ton
Yeah.
of young players. Robinson,
Yeah.
Weinbrenner, Luera, Coran, Cooper. These are all first, second year players.
Yes, but I was gonna say Cooper, perhaps another one of those bright spots. Like if you're reaching
Right.
or grasping for like silver linings, if you're Kansas City, sort of looking at those things. Yes, they're still playing a ton of rookies and they're getting important minutes, under their professional belts here. But
But it's hard
maybe if
to
you're looking,
learn
maybe if we look,
so much when
yes, I
you're
was gonna
a
say if we look
rookie.
at that availability report,
Yeah.
no Gautrat, no Bernardo,
Hamilton,
no Hamilton,
Hannah
no.
Gloss wasn't available.
I was gonna say, like, give me one player. You only get one player off that AR that you put into this game that makes the difference, or maybe doesn't make this score line as much of a blowout as it is.
That's really tricky. I mean, there's a number of attacking players in that mix, but for me, it's going to be Morgan Gautrat, because she'll bring that defensive presence into the midfield. Now, she's new with this team, and not sure how much in preseason we got to see of her and with this squad so far, but that's the only thing that would bring the hiccup is, okay, how does she look along this middle? But if you put a Morgan Gautrat alongside an Alex Luera, that's what I want to see. That's the partnership. I think that'll really lock things up in front of the center backs. Because, right, like you've got Michelle Cooper, you've got Kaiser, Kate Delfava, Alola Bonta, like those players can find the back of the net. So that's why I would go with a Gautrat over a Hamilton, because without a Gautrat in there, you're not getting the ball to your Cooper, Delfava, Kaiser, Labonta. You're just not.
Fair enough. And look, there's things like injuries, updated injury reports, news and things that we'll talk about in our news and notes episode. I know folks are out there. If you're in one of those hardcore fans invested into the league who's also listens to A3, you're aware at this point of the allegations that have been brought forth by Makaya Minis and her mother, and her treatment as a rookie into her introduction into the league via Kansas City Current. These are all things we're going to chat about on our news and notes episode. We just want to make sure that you all know that. We're going to sort of just make sure that we're talking about the recap of the games right now. So whenever you're looking for our takes and our thoughts and stuff on the news portion of things, make sure you take a look at our news and notes episode. So for now, I'm going to ask you one quick question before we close out. Lisa, we got week 1, we got week 2. Week 1, which action did you like coming out of these first 2 opening weeks? We're rating the weeks. Do we want to
We're
more week
rating
1
the
or week
weeks.
2?
This is kind of tricky for me. I'm going to say week 2 though, because week 1 is always exciting, but it's so many unknowns. It's so many what's going to happen. And besides, I got all my picks right this week. So this week was better for me. I got all 6
Chicago's betrayed me. Gee, I was 1 off.
I got all 6 picks right. So I predicted well this weekend. Yeah, I mean, this week we got to see a little bit more. We got to see that it wasn't a fluke for Portland last week, getting 4 in on Orlando. It wasn't poor performance by Orlando. It was dominance by Portland. And we see that again. I think we get to see just how dangerous San Diego can be. A little bit of a turnaround for Angel City as well, getting this win, bouncing back after an opening week loss. Yeah, it's more telling this second week. I liked the second week better. What about you? First week, second week, how you feeling?
I'm with you. I think there's more in week 2 that you could take away from week
Mhm.
1, right? Because there's footage. There's at this point there's film to look at. There's footage out there to go over, and you could sort of maybe take a look at teams and see where they tried to make those adjustments. Because I think that's what you look for in week 2. In week 1, everybody's just so amped to be back, like us included, right? We were so excited to have NWSL
Mhm.
back and talk about it. And week 2 is where you get the opportunity to see if teams are building off of those performances. And we've got a little bit of time before we are back here chatting about another preview and another recap, because there's going to be a little bit of break in the
Yeah.
NWSL season. It's going to return back on April the 14th in light of the international window that's coming up. So make sure that you are ready for week 3 when it returns with a free month on Paramount Plus, because Paramount Plus is your home for the 2023 NWSL season. Paramount Plus is giving away 1 free month to kickstart you for the NWSL season. Use promo code NWSL23. That's NWSL2023 for 1 free month of Paramount Plus.